Ring, 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 ring. Wait, are you? I'm calling you. I'm the baby.
Oh. Hello?
Not the mama. I'm the baby. Oh my God.
What?
I hate to give my review away, but if I had to say it in one word, it would be oof.
Yeah.
And if I had to follow up, it would be magoof.
I'm right there with you.
A film that,
wow,
when it was over, you went into the other room and you were doing something completely different. And I was looking something up on the internet and I just heard like, oof.
It was bad. It was really bad.
Oofing from another room.
Look, I knew it wasn't going to be good. You and I boboth knew.
I am suspicious of all media now.
Yeah, I know,
When
right?
I begin watching something, I'm like, is this going to turn out like Blonde?
Is this going to be another Blonde?
Media might have been a mistake.
It might have been. This movie is just, what are we doing with this movie? I mean, I know we'll get to it, but my God.
You may ask, why are we giving away our review of Blonde?
Yeah.
Because if you happen to have a heart attack at the beginning of this show and are unable to finish it, and then later at an unrelated date begin watching Blonde, we need you to stop.
Yeah, please.
And not watch it.
Stop. We're warning you right now.
We're just going to, it's important that we deliver, that we front load the review, which is no.
That's a big no for me, dog.
The segment at the end of the show where we talk about Blonde will be just us ruining Blonde by talking about all of the insane things that happen in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, most efficient delivery system, boom, bad, don't watch.
Yeah, don't. Oof.
I'm not Norwegian enough, I guess, to say oof duh, but I guess that's where that would come in.
Yeah, exactly.
But stick around if you want to hear the litany of things that happen and are just shocking in a real tawdry way. In the movie Blonde, on this, the Just Enough Trope podcast. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
And we're here to give you all the news that's fit to cast in the world of nerdy entertainment, and also... there's onomatopoeia is a word that describes a sound, right?
Uh-huh.
So, bang, a gun doesn't go bang, but if I'm trying to say that I'm shooting at you, I say bang, right?
Right.
That's what woof is, right? When you go woof.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not a dog, but you don't know how to go moof. People are like, are you going to throw up? But the codified, version of that is woof. And this is I would give it 4 out of 5 woofs.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So we'll talk about that. You know about that and that we are going to talk about that. What you might not know is that this is the end of the month, or at least the beginning of a new month and the last show in our cycle. And so we'll be talking about our patron pick, our producer pick. Mm-hmm. Every month on our Patreon, we give a poll to the members for the last week of the month and allow them to choose what we're going to talk about.
Yes.
And because it's we're coming out of September, we were doing a little clever, I guess, wordplay with the idea of Ember. And it made us think dragon movies. What do we think about when we think about dragon movies?
Yeah, right.
And how there used to be a lot of dragon movies.
There did.
And not so much now.
Yeah.
If you don't count the dragons that show up occasionally in the Harry Potter series.
Right.
Dragons used to be a thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we picked 2 of really the premier dragon films in the cinematic lexicon of the world and allowed our producers to let us know which film we'd be talking about? The choices were 1983's Dragon Slayer, a classic from back in the day, a Disney film, technically, I believe.
Nice.
One of the sort of lost films of the Disney 80s. The Black Cauldron, the Dragon Slayer, any of their Touchstone output.
Sure.
Speaking of which, we have a Touchstone film.
Yes,
it's the other pick. It's 2002's Reign of Fire. Mm-hmm. And that's the film that our producers picked.
It is.
So we'll be talking about Christian Bale. Mm-hmm. Jerry Butler, and Matthew McConaughey pre-reconnaissance.
All right.
No, we're not all right yet. Still figuring out what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Pre-Oscar Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Pre-Gut Gerard Butler.
Yes.
Still same eye-mole Christian Bale. But 2002's Reign of Fire. They don't make them like that anymore.
It's pre-Batman Christian Bale.
It is.
Yeah.
It's pre-Machinist Christian Bale.
Yeah.
This is like... He is chunked out. Like he is ripped. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then in the second that they wrapped filming on this, he began starving himself and then became the machinist.
Yeah.
A role that almost lost him the job of Batman.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, because
he was too thin?
Yes. No. He was very thin for the machinist, obviously. Very dangerous. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's dumb.
You just do it with CGI now. It's not like Chris Evans is like, do it, chop my legs off.
No.
Then we'll sew them back on later.
Yeah, right.
I'm small. I can do this all day.
Oh, my God.
He was too skinny, and so he knew that he had the Batman audition. And so immediately, and again, don't do this either.
Right.
But immediately he began putting on weight, and eating, ice cream, or was that? No, that was Ryan Gosling. Remember when Ryan Gosling was supposed to be in The Lovely Bones and he decided that he didn't want to, he saw this character as overweight. And so he would let Haagen-Dazs melt and drink it.
It's just so
And so he
gross.
came in like 60 pounds overweight and they're like, what are you doing? It's Peter Jackson. What? Why are you fit?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Mark Wahlberg got the job. So Christian Bale ended up gaining too much weight. So even through, and he's Christian Bale at this point, so they were pretty much on board. But even through like the early pre-production and the costume fittings and rehearsals, the crew started calling him Fat Man because apparently he was like, brr.
Whoa.
Now I know it's terrible.
That is terrible.
Now by the time you see him with his shirt off in the movie, you see him in the ninja sequence with his shirt off, and you see him in the manor with his shirt off. And in the manor, he's ripped. He looks good. He's lean.
Yeah.
He's a little big in the ninja sequence. Not big like, he just looks like a bodybuilder. You know what I mean? He's not super cut. And if you want to argue that he's still going through his ninja training, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I've thought about this a lot.
You make that argument. Wow.
I've thought about this a lot.
I think you have.
Just realizing how much I've thought about this. Anyway, don't worry about it. Everybody is super cut. Even Jerry Butler in this.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about that during the show.
Yes.
I was going to say at the end of the show. It won't be at the end. We have to save Blonde for the end.
Yeah.
Tell me at the beginning of the show, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, I finished my book, and now I started a new book for me, which is not a new book, called Like Water for Chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So I just started that. And the big thing with that is at the beginning of every chapter, there is a recipe.
Yep.
And they tell you how to make it. And everything.
It's magically real.
Yeah.
And magically delicious.
Yeah. Magic realism. So.
I never ended up reading that one.
Yeah. Well,
My Hispanic girlfriend in college tried to get me to read it, and I never did.
Well, if you want to read
should've.
it, you probably should have at that point.
I probably should have.
Yeah.
She wasn't Mexican.
It doesn't matter.
What was her hang up?
It doesn't matter.
What was her hang up with it?
Oh my God. But yeah, so I'm reading that. The book that I was reading, the Time Beings. So it ended very interestingly, but it wasn't necessarily a really satisfactory ending.
Uh-oh.
But I've thought about it, and I think that that's probably intentional. And I think that that's probably on purpose. It makes me a little mad, but I think I'm okay with it.
Okay.
So I've kind of like, come around the grief circle, and I'm like, okay.
I accept that I didn't like this book.
Yeah, well, no. I liked it. It didn't end the way that I wanted it to, and I have more I feel like I leave with more questions than I had at the beginning. And because this is a book that like it asks you to believe a couple of things that are somewhat surreal, like that possibly some items from Japan came over to the west coast of the U.S., during the tsunami several weeks later.
Huh.
And, and that she's reading this girl's diary and everything. But the thing that like got to me was like, at one point it was like, did the reader, it's kind of interesting. It deals a lot with philosophy and Buddhism and stuff like that. And it's like, did the reader affect the writer as well somehow? And like, did she affect the young girl's life somehow? And we'll never really know. And I wanted them to meet because it kept flipping back and forth from their perspectives, but they never, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And we don't know if she survived the tsunami or not.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by it's unsatisfactory, you know?
Yeah.
But like, it just kind of gets to a point like, oh, we think it's going to be okay, have this life, and it didn't end when I was a teenager, because like the teenage girl in Japan was thinking about committing suicide, and she ended up not doing that. We find that out. But we don't know if she survived the tsunami or not. So anyways, I thought it was very interesting. I'm still grappling with how I feel about the ending. So, but you know.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you? What are you up to?
Well, I'm up to changing the entire way that we do streaming online.
Oh.
We've had some fair success with our Enterprising Individuals Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/EISTPOD.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I telling you that? Because you don't want to go there anymore. We're moving everything over to twitch.tv/JustEnoughTrope.
Okay.
All one word. That is the stations, if you will, the networks Twitch, and we'll be having video game streams as usual. The Star Trek show Discoverage, our live coverage of new Star Trek shows, will appear there as well, as any video content that we do, watch-alongs, play-alongs, and things like that for the entire channel, movie reviews. We're going to put it all onto Twitch.
Okay.
So now is the time for Twitch to go out of business, if that's going to happen. Or
Don't.
get bought. But we're putting all of our eggs in the Twitch basket.
Okay.
Now, the nice thing about the way that we're doing it is the software and the services that we have also broadcasts to popular destinations like Facebook, YouTube. So if you are a follower on Facebook or YouTube, you'll be able to get all that there still. But we would appreciate it if you've got a Twitch account or if you've ever, enjoyed watching something on Twitch. If you've got a it's really easy to make an account. It's like anything else.
Yeah, sure.
And then if there's a streamer that you like, you follow them, and then it's just like podcasts. They just show up, when they've got new content. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, going to Twitch and following us at Just Enough Trope, twitch.tv/JustEnoughTrope, that would really help us out, because it's always, you change the username or you change the show feed or something like that. And you don't want to lose any stragglers.
Yeah.
Be like the Harfoots.
Oh, no, we don't want that.
We wait still for him, or whatever it is they say.
Yeah, right.
We will wait for you, but we'd rather have you there with us.
Yeah. So you're not going to be streaming on EIST Pod at all anymore?
No.
Okay. I'll centralize to.
I will probably. I'll stream a video of me going. Don't get out of here. Go home.
Right. Exactly.
It's over. And go to JustEnoughTrope.com.
Join us on our new channel.
So I've been in the process of updating all the links. Also, when you transfer or when you just start streaming on a different account, you don't have any of the history or seniority. So I've had to. Sucks. There are certain milestones you have to hit on Twitch in order to be eligible for certain things. So I've had to do just some. I planned this whole week to just be on Twitch as much as possible, just getting the hours in. Also, I put a call out. If you can hear this and you see that we're alive, come watch us for a while, because they count how many people watch at once. So when you get into the high single or low double digits, you kind of cross another threshold.
Sure.
And they take you a little more seriously.
I mean, that makes sense.
So yeah, come stop by. And we've got there's a chat thing. We've also got the Discord, so if you want to tell me I'm doing a bad job at Assassin's Creed or whatever, go for it. That's what we're looking for.
Right.
Engagement.
That's right.
I'm an idiot. Engagement. Engage me.
Engage me.
With your kind and or mean words.
Oh my gosh.
Let's engage with some news. You seen this? You heard about this?
Oh my goodness.
Jason Isaacs.
Yes.
Talks like this.
He certainly does.
Well, he won't be doing that for long. He's playing Cary Grant in a biopic series
at
ITV.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It is called Archie. Of course, Archie Leach, Cary Grant's real name. Wouldn't have gotten far on that.
No. Wow. Archie Leach.
It will flash back and forth between his younger days as a kid, being, singing in the music halls and being an entertainer as a child, and then moving to the U.S. and the height of his fame in the early 60s when Isaacs will take over the role.
Interesting. I don't think that he looks a whole lot like Cary Grant, but I like Jason Isaacs.
They both have the solid movie idol features of that era.
I would agree with that.
And the little butt chins. The little dimple
so
chins.
they're going to play into that. And there's just hair dye and wigs and stuff like that. Yeah. So, well, good for him. I'm a big fan of Jason Isaacs. I really liked when he was on Discovery. He was a good bad guy that you love to hate. So, I think he's a really good actor, and I'm always excited to see him in things. So, that's exciting. I'll definitely have to check that out.
Me too. You like Jason Isaacs? Do you like Cary Grant?
I do like Cary Grant. Yes. I think that Cary Grant was a wonderful actor, and I think he was incredibly likable, and I think he has a very interesting story to tell. Wasn't he supposedly closeted?
Well, he was married like 4 times, so if he was, he did a good job out of it.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
He might have been bisexual.
Okay.
Let's not do some bi erasure here.
Of course not.
He did live with Randolph Scott for like a long time.
Sure.
Just 2 guys being dudes.
Yeah.
They were best friends. And that certainly, I don't know if that's just a rumor mill thing or if anything was ever confirmed out of that, but yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, he got around both sides of the street, I think.
Yeah.
So I wonder if
good-looking guy. So.
I wonder if that will be a part of the story at all.
Well, it should be. Don't you think?
He also loved LSD.
Really?
So remember in
Surprising.
Mad Men when, I think like late in the 60s? It was like the middle, late 60s when Roger was going to like these society LSD parties.
Yes.
Which I'm sure probably happened. They're like, we can afford it. I'm not going to get busted for buying it.
Right.
I'm not on Haight-Ashbury here.
Right.
I'm in the Upper West Side. Well, he was even earlier. He was doing it in like the 50s.
That's pretty early from what we think of.
His wife was a psychotherapist, I think. And so, it was initially sort of looked at as something like that. So he got his hands on it. And was like, this is great. I'm going to do this. So everybody's like, yeah, I'm going to go over and trip balls at Cary Grant's house. Sure.
Well, that'll definitely be in it. It's weird and it's scary to like the LSD was. It reminds me of the podcast Truanon because I've been listening to it recently and
we dodged a "you're wrong about" bullet there.
Yeah. Oh, stop. But LSD, I'm sure you know this already, was
it's lysergic,
Yeah, right.
I'll let you finish.
It was for a while there. They were thinking, psychologists were thinking that it could be used as a drug to cure alcoholism.
Yeah, well, they've tried to apply it to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We literally watched that Netflix series.
Which one?
The MK Ultra one.
The MK Ultra one?
The guy jumps out the window.
Yes, yeah. I do remember that. Yeah, yes.
Which was not...
It was scary.
It's not a good series.
No.
First of all...
Not necessarily a good series.
It's an important story. It's a story that doesn't get told, and it's talked about like it's an urban legend, but it's real.
That's the scary thing.
And they talk to like the son of the guy,
yeah.
Right? But this is a victim. The story was a victim of the seriesification of everything that Netflix has to do. That would have been a great 2-hour documentary. Yeah. But they have to like put like celebrity reenactors into the whole thing, and it just stretch it out for so long. I don't remember if I finished it or not. Anyway, yeah.
Cary Grant did finish
The worst thing about taking LSD in the 50s, the music. Oh, the music sucks, right?
It's not as good as the music in the 60s.
What, you got a trip to Rock Around the Clock?
No.
That's what the Doors are for.
Yeah, right.
The Allman Brothers. Come on.
You were before your time, Cary Grant. So.
Yeah. That's why I quit this. Or as the Jason Isaacs version would be, I quit this LSD.
It'll be really intense. Yeah.
But as far as a guy who can kind of talk like both a British and an American person, he's got it down.
He does.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Here's something that I'm not looking forward to.
Okay.
But it's going to happen anyway. The Crow reboot has wrapped production finally.
Do we need to do this?
No, but here's the deal.
But it's happening.
This thing got dragged through I don't know if you remember, but this has been, it's not even like hell necessarily. It has been in development for like years.
A while.
Like since the first one came out. They've been trying to make it. Sure, there was direct-to-video ones, but they wanted to like redo it. And Momoa was attached to it for a while.
Yeah.
You know, Bradley Cooper was circling it for a while. James
Which is
McAvoy,
weird.
Luke Evans. So yeah, Luke Evans would have been perfect. Well, instead, Bill Skarsgård, who you take off the clown makeup and you're doing a great job now. He's been connected to a lot of things. He's gonna have to put on makeup for the Nosferatu remake. I don't know what you would call it. Robert Eggers, The Northman, The Lighthouse, wants to make a Nosferatu.
Right.
He wanted to make it after The Witch, but has made of those other films, unfortunately, instead. And so he'll be in that as well. I'm playing Orlok, I assume.
Okay.
But he'll be playing the Crow in this. It's directed by Rupert Sanders of Ghost in the Shell 2016 fame and Snow White and the Huntsman fame.
Oof. That's not good.
No. But if you are going to spend, let's say, $50 million on a franchise reboot, who are you going to call? Rupert Sanders.
Can I say something that's going to be unpopular? But I can't help but saying it.
Who's the female lead, and is he going to bang her? That's what I remember.
Gross.
Remember that?
No.
What was going on with that?
I don't.
You don't remember that?
No.
That was the big story of the Snow White and the Huntsman release.
Right.
Is that apparently, and I'm still think that there was something going on there, like some psyop stuff, but Kristen Stewart was apparently doing him.
Yeah.
He was married to somebody else.
Yeah.
And she was with Arpat.
Yes.
It was the
big thing.
The Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn of our time.
Yeah.
And that basically took over the news cycle
I do
when
remember
the movie
that
was
now
released.
that you mentioned
Then
that.
they made a sequel. No Kristen Stewart.
No.
We took Snow White out of the Snow White movie.
Which is weird.
Well, they both sucked anyway.
Yeah, well.
So that was the whole thing with that.
Yeah. So here's my unpopular opinion. And I'm going to preface this by saying
I just want to know if he pushed up on Scarlett Johansson and she's like, no.
Probably no.
No.
Yeah.
You are not nearly blonde and Harvard enough for me.
Yeah, right. I didn't see The Crow when it first came out, and so it doesn't have the same nostalgia feel for me. And I have to say, I didn't think it's not a very good movie. I don't think it's that great.
That was 2 hours of pain and suffering. Actually, it's more like 80 minutes of pain and suffering.
Yeah, I mean, watching it without nostalgic glasses, it's just kind of like,
I didn't have nostalgic glasses. This is one of the first movie stories that, when it came out, I'm going to be a movie fan. And so I started following movie stories. And what a story to follow.
Yeah.
Having seen 1992's Rapid Fire, a crappy B movie that really showed, hey, this Bruce Lee kid is pretty good. I watch his career with great interest. Yeah. And then he gets blown away on the set of this movie, which was a movie being made about an indie comic book that I liked because I was young and dumb, and it was 1992. And so it was like, wow, now I'm going to go in, and I'm not just here to see a Ninja Turtle fight. I'm here to see what they did with this. The story isn't on the screen. The story is
behind
the movie
scenes.
Itself.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that was true of the movie. There was no story. Guy dies and goes back.
Yeah.
The end.
I know. So
Ernie Hudson's like, what am I doing in this?
I know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what they do with the remake. I feel like, who did you say was the lead in it?
Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah, that seems weird to me.
Heartthrob Bill Skarsgård.
He's that seems like ill cast to me, but I don't know. I mean, I guess you put some makeup and a wig on him.
Putting a guitar in his hands.
Yeah, right.
He's not young.
Yeah, I know. And I thought the whole point of it was that they died young.
They were a young couple. Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah. These guys killed me when I was on my 57th birthday, and now I'm back for revenge.
Right. So sorry. I mean, I know you're not that
I never got
old,
that
but...
AARP card.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
This should be a Harry Styles thing. If you can act.
Exactly.
Well, maybe we'll talk about that later.
Sorry.
Actually, I don't think we will.
What is that horrible movie called?
We're on a Don't Worry Darling.
Yeah,
embargo.
Don't Worry Darling.
Not talking about Don't Worry Darling at all.
Other people can talk
Lily
about
Rose Depp will be the female lead in the Nosferatu film.
So Johnny Depp's daughter?
Yeah, I mean, she can't help where she came from. Let's talk about something more exciting, and that is Rings of Power in one corner, House of the Dragon in the other corner.
Okay.
What do you got? We finally have some streaming numbers.
I want to hear them. I'm very interested.
For the release of these two shows.
Okay, I'm very intrigued.
Well, this is what it was.
Okay.
Rings of Power had 1.3. I don't know how they measure these things.
Yeah.
To obfuscate it, probably. But viewers watched 1.3 billion minutes of the Rings of Power.
Okay.
So this is like total viewers, total eyeballs, and the amount of minutes that scrolled past their faces.
So somebody could have watched it for a couple of minutes.
Without
and,
the X and the Y, I can't figure out the X or the Y without one of those, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could have been one person watching 1.3 billion minutes until the end of time, or it could have been 1.3 billion people watching it for 1 second.
Right.
But anyway, we can compare it to the other Y, which is the Y of Game of Thrones, which had 781 million.
Oh, that's 700.
Almost twice. Almost twice as much
wow.
for the Rings of Power.
So twice as much for the Rings of Power? Really?
Okay, so I'm going to read these numbers again because apparently
read
I
them
didn't.
again.
I'm just going to slow down for my co-host.
Stop it.
The Rings of Power was watched for 1.3 billion minutes.
Okay.
Game of Thrones, the House of the Dragon of Thrones, was watched for 781 million minutes.
Okay. All right. Now I get it.
All right. I think we all got it.
So
before.
Rings of Power. Shut up. Rings of Power surprisingly beat out the House of Dragon.
Is it surprising?
I feel like it's surprising because yes.
I feel
Are
like,
you going to let me finish?
No, I'm not. I feel like we are simultaneously over the House of Dragon, but still addicted to Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. So this is like, there's our ex. She's with her new man. She's got a new haircut. And you're like, I don't care. It's like, she looks very good though. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what we're doing. Yeah. But not everybody's doing this. Some people can just get over the ex.
Yeah, right.
They have no time for it. Or they're in a different place in their lives and they don't want to. And plus they cancel their HBO Max. We all have Amazon.
I know.
So what do these numbers really mean? The fact that the company that owns most of the earth and has all of our social security numbers and payment information. Yeah. And we can order cotton candy from them at any time. We also just stopped in and watched their show for a little while. That's
probably really what it's saying. I think it is surprising because I do feel like a lot of people still have a fondness surprisingly for Game of Thrones and therefore House of Dragon. So
I hate the fact that I am one of those people.
Yeah.
I never cared about Game of Thrones, and you could not believe when I told you, and you're like, but we watched it all the time. I was like, I was watching it.
I know.
So I would know what people were talking about when they watched it. Remember how long? It was years past the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
That we finally watched it and went, that's a Red Wedding.
Mm-hmm.
But like other than those cheap little thrills, I always felt like it was a poorly written show. And I was right, because look at the back half of that horse.
Yeah, I know.
That had charismatic people and some good performances and titties. And like, that's all it ever was. You know, Ian McShane was right.
Yeah,
And I'm so mad that House of the Dragon is like really good.
Yeah.
And Sapochnik is a big part of it.
I know.
And so, yeah, like all the Dan and Dan and Dave and Dan and Dan and Dave and D&D are gone.
Yeah, right.
And I guess Sapochnik and the other guys who were, when they weren't, filming battle scenes in darkness, responsible for the good parts of Game of Thrones are left to make like a pretty good show.
Pretty decent
and like
show.
I'm invested in all this talking. Man, they're talking a lot.
They are talking a lot.
But I'm kind of invested in it. And
Yeah.
it also helps that like when I start thinking about so-and-so. So the thing about Harrenhal is, the doom of Valyria. And I'm trying to explain all these things to you. And I'm like, why do I know all these things?
Oh
I don't
my
want to
gosh.
know any of this stuff.
Yeah, right.
Think about all the things about the First Age I don't know because I had to remember, what the doom of Valyria was. And who Mushroom is.
I know. You had to explain to me
care
who
about any of
Mushroom
this.
was. I was like, what? Who in the what now?
So anyway, but they're going to have to work harder to stop the Rings of Power.
That's true. That's true. I'm enjoying the Rings of Power. I think it kind of came to a head a little bit this last episode because we've united a couple of our storylines, and things are getting real dark real fast. So this thing is just clipping along.
It's fine.
It's clipping along. Oh, it's fine. You're not as excited about Rings of Power?
It's about as well made as Game of Thrones was. It's just not like intentionally offensive to like the viewer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's pleasant instead of being.
It is pleasant.
They would call it challenging. I would call it vulgar and juvenile. Stay tuned for our review of Blonde.
Yeah.
But who says that there's a difference? What else are we going to talk about? Come on, let's talk. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that Time Bandits, the series, is still going forward.
Okay.
Taika Waititi is making Time Bandits, the series, at Apple, and he is directing, co-writing, and executive producing. And joining the show is Lisa Kudrow.
Oh my gosh.
Charlene Yee.
Okay.
It's like, wait a minute. Those aren't short people.
No, they're not.
Are there going to be little people in this or what?
Yeah, right.
What is this going to... Lisa Kudrow? What are you talking about?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
They're lying to us. Are they going to female and people of color up our Time Bandits?
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
No, I mean, I literally don't care about Time Bandits at all.
Yeah.
But get ready for the complaints about that, right?
Well, if that's what they're doing. I don't know if that's what they're doing or not. I just don't understand how Taika Waititi has time to do all of this stuff. Like, he is spread so thin.
He doesn't have time for it.
Yeah. You just learn to say no, Taika. That's what I have to say to you.
Learn to say no to Taika.
That too.
Maybe he's the one that's pushing all this.
Yeah, that is also a possibility.
A kid who is the star of this thing, his name
Yeah?
is Kal-El Tuck.
He's a Cal.
Yes, he's a Cal.
Uh-huh.
But this is his real name.
Okay. All right.
Who named him Tuck?
I don't know.
Fryer?
I don't know. Fryer Tuck? Yeah, right. Tuck over
Who
last
named
name?
this kid?
I don't know.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
This is like a Moxie crime fighter situation. Or what's Kevin Smith's kid's name? Harleen Quinzel
Yes,
Smith or
something like that.
It's like, Jesus, come on.
Terrible.
Look, we all like comic books, but Jesus Christ.
I know.
So we'll see what happens with that. He, of course, has there's more irons than fire at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how he updates Time Bandits.
Okay.
It could be fun.
It could be.
Celebrity all the, Pythons are out of commission. So what about celebrity cameos for like the time traveling people they meet, right? So it's a series, so you got to go to a lot of places. So when they go to, revolutionary France, they share a carriage with John Hamm and Molly Shannon or something like that.
Sure.
We get cameos.
We'll have Patton Oswalt in one of them.
Oh my God, we certainly will.
Yeah.
We certainly will.
Yeah.
Directors are putting their feet in their mouths.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes literally.
Oh my God.
Luca Guadagnino, the director of Bones and All, his story about cannibalism and romance, does not want to hear you compare it to the life of Armie Hammer. He calls that silly. And I say, why'd you make a movie about cannibals, dude?
Yeah, seriously.
I don't think it's it's kind of silly that you directed a movie with a cannibal and then you made a movie about cannibals, but fake cannibals though.
Yeah, like think about it before you do it. if you don't want the criticism, then just don't do it.
Any correlation with this kind of innuendo and silliness is preposterous, the director said.
Oh, boy.
Methinks the director protests too much.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Take this away. These toes are cold.
Oh, my God. Gross. Gross. And I have no desire to see that movie, so, whatever. I just don't understand.
Well, he wanted to make a movie about two young cannibals in love. So,
which is weird.
You always want people to identify with your character.
I know. And then also Timothée Chalamet learned to say no to things too.
Yeah.
I know you like working with this director, but maybe this isn't the project for you.
Timothy is, I think, learning the no. But
yeah.
When you work on Dune, sure, you're the main guy.
Yeah.
You have a lot of staring off into the middle distance to do.
Of course.
But there's a lot of things going on in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie's 18 months, but you're not there the whole time.
No.
But you're kind of like on hold for the whole time. So maybe you can just, you can fit another movie in that's shot not too far away and isn't too intensive about some very relatable people, fine young people. That's for the 90s kids.
Yeah.
Here's another director who said something stupid.
Awesome.
Colin Trevorrow,
who
directed the most recent two of the Jurassic World films and is an executive producer on the entire thing.
He's said lots of stupid things before, so...
He can't stop. First of all, he's never smiled, and he's never said anything smart. And he said about his new film, Jurassic World Dominion, that there probably should have only been one Jurassic Park film.
Shh.
In an interview, no, he's not done. In an interview with Empire magazine,
oh my God, stop
he said
talking.
that Spielberg's original film, Jurassic Park, is inherently unfranchisable.
Yeah, no crap.
Which,
but you guys did it anyways.
And the reason, but this is the best part. It isn't just like a stupid non sequitur. This is part of his point as to why the latest film, Dominion, is about giant locusts and not about dinosaurs, because he feels like, and I'm going to let him bury himself. Quote, God. I specifically did something different than the other films in order to change the DNA.
See what
this is
I
me.
Did there.
That's the audio version of me, the gesture that I'm making of the franchise. The previous 5 films are plots about dinosaurs. This one is a story about characters in a world in which they coexist with dinosaurs. They give this guy billions of dollars now.
I just don't know. It's not okay. I don't think that you having the idea to change dinosaurs to locusts is like a big brain outside of the box idea.
Yeah. Also, this dinosaur is in your movie, bud.
I know.
There's a dinosaur on the poster.
I know.
I kind of think your movie's about dinosaurs.
It is.
Yeah. You're about a girl that's half dinosaur or whatever what's going on in those stupid movies.
I don't know, man.
You can't hold your hand up and hold locusts off. It doesn't work. Only works on dinosaurs.
We know this.
Well, here's another great idea from the world of Hollywood. Looks like Sony is going to take another shot at a Tarzan film.
Okay.
Remember 2016's Tarzan, The Legend of Tarzan?
Vaguely.
Starring Alexander I Will Work Out for Money Skarsgård?
Yes. I do.
This guy throws his back out and he can't do crunches anymore. Does he have a career? I don't know.
I don't think he does.
I don't know.
I don't think he does.
Maybe not.
Yeah. No, I think that's a negative. Why are we doing this again?
Because
we like money?
He's a superhero.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
We have to use these properties that we have. That's how it works.
Are they going to try to franchise it, do you think?
It's going to be a, quote, total reinvention.
Okay.
So probably in the future.
Oh, weird. Okay.
I have an idea for you. Who owns the Phantom? Remember Slam and Evil? Remember that? Remember the problem? Remember the white Black Panther?
Yeah.
What you do is they made a totally badass Eric Kennett and Peter Chung, I think. Elon Musk. I was thinking about this before. The fact that one of my favorite cartoons Aeon Flux. Damn it.
Oh my God.
Aeon Flux
Yes.
has the same syllables and phonetics as Elon Musk. But I know that's his real name. I know that he didn't make it. He didn't just like watch it and go,
Oh, gross.
I'm going to call myself Elon Musk. Like, that's natural. That came out organically. But anyway, they created a series called Phantom 2040, where the Phantom's Kit Walker's grandson lives in the year 2040. And it's like a cyberpunk future with an environmental theme that like all early 90s cartoons had.
Sure.
Where he is the ghost that walks, but he's also got, cyber gadgets and stuff like that.
Of course.
So you just do that.
Yeah.
You make him black. We're going to pay them back
Yeah.
for this, right? Finally, a black guy gets to be the ghost that walks.
Yeah.
The hero of Africa.
Yeah.
But you also have the future stuff done.
I say do it.
Well, they're going to do that with Tarzan. I don't know if that's true or not, but how do you reinvent Tarzan? Make him non-colonial?
Yeah, right.
Make him not the white guy who's the best African there ever was?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Get Michael Phelps to play him?
Possibly. Or get like
Because it's the swimming.
He is, yeah. Or get like a black guy to play him. Black guy's Tarzan.
Get a black guy and put Bruce Willis's face on his face. Bruce Willis has sold his face.
Why?
Bruce Willis has sold his face, his likeness, to an intellectual property deepfake AI company, and so they will be able to, if they choose, it'll probably just be in like skateboard commercials, right? But if they choose, they can use him in crappy films. So instead of him just sitting there,
that's stupid,
and not acting in crappy films, we can have somebody else act and put his face on there.
We're just trying.
It's a company called Deep Cake, so you know that we're already in trouble.
Wow.
Although these tech guys have money. If he just wants, because apparently he was making all those crappy films to like pile up some money because he knew that he was going to have to quit, period.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he got paid. Here's his statement.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for me to go back in time. He says that the neural network that they're using was trained on Die Hard and Fifth Element. And so they are making some kind of movie off of this. And so it's a brand new and interesting experience for me. I'm grateful to our team. Now, I don't know if he put that together because apparently he can't like talk, but you know what I mean.
Maybe he can think and type and stuff like that.
Well, I assume he can think.
Yeah.
But he has aphasia, which is a problem with language and words.
I know. So I'm just kind of thinking that he saw this as another way to, earn some money.
Could have used this on Blonde.
Oh, Lord.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
Speaking of cannibals, let's talk about Dahmer.
Oh,
Dahmer is a series on Netflix. It's their kind of new premiere series. It is another Ryan Murphy joint, right?
Is it?
Yeah, isn't it?
Okay. That guy's everywhere.
It better be. This isn't the show where we look things up, but I don't want to get this wrong.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Ryan Murphy because
I believe you.
Because what's his name's in it? Evan Peters, who I think is a pretty good actor, but it's like, dude, do you want to be a TV actor for the rest of your life? Be in a movie.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so he's playing Jeffrey Dahmer. A little flap happened earlier in the week when the series premiered, and after many people complaining, Netflix took the LGBTQ tag off.
Oh my God. Why was
Horror, thriller, LGBTQ.
Why was the LGBT?
He was gay.
Oh, okay. Right.
He killed young men.
That's right.
He was predatory.
But we don't want that on there.
Exactly, Netflix.
Because he was a predator.
Tell Netflix.
Yeah.
So they took that off. Thank God. Now...
Whose bright idea was it to put it on there? Jesus. Sorry.
It was an algorithm, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, a production coordinator on the show has gone viral on Twitter talking about her horrible experiences on the set.
Oh, really?
She said that she was one of 2 black people on the set.
Oh, no.
And the crew members often called her by the other black person's name.
That's
terrible. It's not funny.
That's terrible. I mean, like, learn the people on your crew's names and don't mistake them for somebody else. That's awful.
Yeah.
I feel bad for her. Okay. That sucks.
So I don't. We'll talk about it in a little bit. What else can we get out of out of the Jeffrey Dahmer story. This is just...
I mean, I guess...
This is what I think of when I think of like murder podcasts and most true crime content.
Yeah.
I just think of like the morbidity of it and how... I mean, these are real things that happen. They're real events. We do need to respect, I think, people who have lost loved ones.
Absolutely.
But nobody knows who's related to the Black Dahlia at this point. Do you know what I mean? That's one thing.
Yeah.
But it's just like, the glibness of the hosts. It's like, whoa, you see this in 2017? Oh, he pulled both of her eyes out with an ice pick or whatever. Just how weird it gets. And that's what this is like the dramatic version of that. Because Ryan Murphy is like, he does shows about like gore and witches and blood, but now it's like, oh, this is the real thing.
Yeah, I know.
So what are you doing?
It's
one thing
weird.
to have Cuba Gooding Jr. dress up as O.J. Simpson. You know what I mean? It's another thing to have like, oh yeah, let's get drama and like, pathos out of these horrible things.
I think the thing you can get out of it is that maybe somebody can get out of it is, where there's smoke, there's fire, like maybe learning the signs of possible predatory behavior.
I guess.
I don't know. That's
like a History Channel documentary, though.
Yeah.
Not like a 10-part Netflix series.
Yeah, I know. I think it's, look, it's
ghoulish is the word you're looking for.
It's human beings' morbid curiosity of like, what is going on with this guy, and like
Ryan Murphy?
Well, yeah, what is going on with this guy? But I mean, what was going on with Jeffrey Dahmer? What was behind all of this? But
abuse.
Yeah, I know.
Horrific abuse.
I know. And
as a young person, then later abusing other young people.
Right. And I think that if you really want to learn about that, don't watch a dramatic miniseries about it because it's going to be dramatized.
Yeah, I mean, the Wikipedia page will give you everything you need to know about that.
So,
but now you can watch Evan Peters do it.
There you go.
Quicksilver. All right, let's check one more story out. Yeah, that's right. I mentioned a comic book character. In case you forgot over the intervening 40 minutes that this was a comic book show.
Yeah, right.
Armor Wars. Remember Armor Wars?
Yeah.
A planned TV series for Disney Plus featuring, of course, Don Cheadle as James Rhodey Rhodes, a.k.a. War Machine, was going to be a series. Now it's going to be a film.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. We're changing it up. Yeah. I think that's okay.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Here's what I mean. Marvel's been hitting it out of the park with the TV series. Not in terms of quality. I don't like a lot of the last couple ones that have come out.
Yep.
But the streaming figures are through the roof. The engagement's high. People like them. They're going to do more of all of them. So those are all success stories.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a property, which is essentially, I'm not gonna say Black Iron Man. I just said Black Iron Man, but I'm not saying Black Iron Man.
Uh-huh.
But let's say something in the world of Iron Man, featuring not a star at the level of RDJ, but still a well-liked veteran actor, very talented guy, with charisma who can pull it off, right? Yeah. Is that why they go, wait, why isn't this a movie? Or did they feel like, sure, Loki is running around, and there's explosions and there's time warps and stuff like that, and variants, but like a bunch of robots fighting each other for 40 minutes is like going to be too much money. So let's do a 2-hour movie and just get it all in one shot, or what? Or was Don Cheadle like, I don't want to do a TV show. I'd rather work for like 3 weeks, and then stand in front of a green screen rather than work for
the first couple of thoughts
10.
I had was that like maybe I think that Don Cheadle is maybe more of a movie star than a TV guy, and not to say that you can't do both because you totally can. So maybe that's what happened, but I also I think you have some really good points. Maybe they were looking at the CGI numbers and crunching the numbers and like, we can't afford to do what we really want to do at the level we want to do it at for this show. So let's make it a movie instead. I don't think it's necessarily a downgrade because
maybe you look at the money and you go, Where's Mickey Rourke, right?
Yeah, right.
You look at like Sam Rockwell, who I assume they're going to try to bring back.
I think at some point they'll probably
You're
try
going
to
to want
bring him back.
Gwyneth Paltrow in this at some point.
Yeah.
You go, wait, this isn't just like another chapter in the Marvel story. We want to try to like soak up some of that Iron Man gravy, right?
Yeah.
And then now suddenly, ding, 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 we've got a bunch of movie star salaries, and it's like it's easier to write this off as a movie than to try to make a show.
I think that is a big part of it.
Although Cheadle got a Primetime Emmy nomination for his appearance in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so he's had success on the TV.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, people freaking love Don Cheadle.
I love Don Cheadle.
I love Don Cheadle too. I'd watch a TV show with him, but I'd also just tune in for a War Machine. I almost said Warhammer. War Machine movie.
We'll see. There's no black people in Warhammer though. Crossover with Loki, and the mask comes off.
Yeah.
There's a hat on.
Yeah.
It's Terrence Howard.
Oh my god. Poor Terrence Howard.
Alternate universe. Rhodey.
I was thinking about him the other day, and
I find that hard to believe.
Well, no, I was literally thinking about like how didn't he like mess this whole thing up because he asked for more money, and they were like, "Oh, see you later."
I don't think they wanted him back. They offered him much less, and
that's what it was.
To be fair to him, he was like, "No, I don't make less the more that I do it. I make more." And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll have another guy."
So they didn't.
Hotel Rwanda wants to do it, so
they
you're
didn't
out.
Want him back or whatever. But
I don't think they did,
because it's just like it's just got to be like you just got to be kicking yourself that you lost that role because it just keeps on going.
I think he's turned out just fine.
Okay, all right.
He was on Empire.
All right, that's true.
He has many hats.
Many hats. But yeah, I think that I think that it'll be fine. And you and I have talked about before how sometimes the TV shows come off as kind of like bloated stories. Like they don't really seem to know where they're going and they don't really need to be as long as they are.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a good thing. That's all.
Maybe we'll talk about that in more depth someday. But today I want to talk about the fact that Bassam Tariq, the guy who was going to direct or was directing Blade, has left the project.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That's bad news.
It is bad news because now we don't know if it's going to come out in a year. It was originally slated to come out November 2023. We don't know if this will slow it down. I mean, I assume
it will.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't shot it, right? So, but there's all that pre-production. And so they're probably most of the way through pre-production. I have to imagine they were ready to start shooting.
Why did he leave? Do we have any idea?
We don't know. And
my gosh.
Apparently it was amicable. You know, he released a statement. See, you know, they always say, you know, oh, it was great working with them.
Right.
But there was nothing specific said. He's still going to produce. So I don't know. Maybe it's just he got a chance to do something else. I mean, his signature will be there still, but he won't be directing.
That's a bummer.
Right.
I really hope it comes out.
Lightning round, because we got to talk about 2 movies still.
Yeah.
Who's the replacement? Right? You fire.
I don't know.
Lord and Miller, you get Ron Howard. Right? You fire Derrickson, you get Sam Raimi. Who is the washed-up celebrity director they get to replace Tassim Barik? What was his name?
Oh my gosh.
I said his name wrong. Bassam Tariq.
Washed up. I don't know.
Wow, this is great.
I don't know.
This is great.
I don't know.
Director of color.
Yeah, I really don't know.
You really don't know.
No, I told you I don't know.
John Singleton.
Okay.
Let's get John Singleton.
Okay.
Right? Boys in the Hood?
Sure. Let's do that.
I
don't know.
It's not. You know what a lightning round is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do, but I don't know. I just can't think of anybody.
All right. So this was going to be fun, and now it's not fun. John
sorry.
Singleton's also dead, so we can't really get him.
Oh, okay. All right.
This isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be.
Oh
Spike Lee.
There we go.
Spike Lee.
That's who I was thinking of. I just had no idea. Like my brain
Sure.
couldn't think of his name.
Sure. So now Blade's like talking to the camera.
Sure.
Trying to think of all the Spike Lee hallmarks, right?
Oh my gosh.
It's just like, so I had to kill some vampires. You probably think killing vampires is tough. No, you're right.
Yeah. Is Spike Lee washed up?
Unfortunately, this is going to just peter out, I guess, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
He did the Five Bloods.
Oh, yeah. That
One
was
of
not...
Chadwick Boseman's last films.
Oh, that's right.
92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty good. So,
Look, Mika needs to learn a sign. You know, when somebody's drowning and the hand goes up 1, and it comes back up 2, and it comes back up 3, and then no more hand.
yeah.
She needs to learn an in-studio sign to tell me I got
nothing.
nothing.
I got nothing.
I know one black filmmaker. It's Ava DuVernay. Actually, she's free, isn't she?
I think she is.
Yeah, she's not doing that.
Yeah.
That Fourth World movie anymore.
Yeah, I know Ryan Coogler too, but he's
too busy.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. Get Ava DuVernay, but she's not washed up, so I don't know.
Is she?
I said she's not.
But is she?
No, she's not.
What's she working on?
I don't know.
What she did that? She crashed a Oprah Winfrey movie.
Oof. Yeah, that's not good. Well, it's not. That's
all right.
bad.
Well, between you and me, I'm looking forward to Lee Daniels' The Blade.
Okay.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you fire. I'll take you to burn. Fire. I'll take you to learn. I'll see you burn.
Listen to me. That dragon is out there. He doesn't feel pain or remorse or fear. And he absolutely will not stop until he eats your ash. Ash-eating dragons is the center of the film Reign of Fire, directed by Rob Bowman. Other credits by Rob Bowman. Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Oh, okay.
He is a TV director.
All right.
Who directed the X-Files film Reign of Fire and your favorite Elektra. And then Hollywood said,
Oh my God.
please don't come back.
We're done.
Please don't come back. But he did direct a lot of X-Files episodes.
Okay.
Some of the best ones.
All right.
And Star Trek, The Next Generation also directed that as well.
All right.
And directed this film starring Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale. Mm-hmm. We also mentioned Gerard Butler and Isabella Scorupco.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in this film?
So basically, it's an alternate world where dragons are real, and it takes place in is it present day London,
Present time.
or what have you?
Yes.
And Christian Bale is a little kid. His mom, played by Alex Krieg, right?
Yes. A very dry Alice Krieg.
Yeah, she's not all oily, so
Not as greasy as we usually see her.
If you blink, you might not recognize her. And Alexander Siddig is in this too for Star
All
Trek
right,
fans.
don't get ahead of yourself.
Okay. I got very excited. I had to look it up because I was like, I did not remember he was in this. Anyways, so Christian Bale's mom works in a mining site, and she's like the head of this mining site. Why are you shaking your head
They're
at me?
drilling a tube station.
They're drilling a tube station.
And it's under, like, I don't know, Charing Cross or something like that.
Yeah. And they're drilling down there, and they're like, the drill is stuck, you know. And one of the guys tells Christian Bale to go in there. I know it's the very beginning of the movie, but he sees a freaking dragon, and they spit like kerosene or something like that
In his eyes.
Yeah,
And his eyes turn red.
Yeah, and
That'll
he's
never
like,
come back.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then like they're like, oh, we gotta escape, and like his mom dies, and it's very sad. And then we flash forward.
We're going to see him as a little kid.
And we flash forward like I don't know, like 15 or so years.
We flash forward through a print montage.
Yes.
This movie has not one but two print
Great.
montages.
Yes.
They couldn't even afford to hire an actor to play a newscaster and be like, the dragons are everywhere.
Extra, read all
Instead,
about it.
No, it's literally like they held back. There's no spinning newspapers, but it's essentially through newspaper clippings we learn that the dragons have spread throughout Earth and there are millions of dragons.
Yes, and he's the boy who lived or whatever.
And just in case, well, all right. His eyes are, it'd be cool if they were red the whole movie.
Yeah.
And unless millions of dragons aren't enough of an apocalypse for you, the powers that be decided to try to use nuclear weapons to kill the dragons, which went about as well as you'd expect.
Go well.
So it's a dragon / nuclear apocalypse.
Yes. And he is the head of this fortress outside of London. And
It's a castle.
It's a castle.
It's Bamberg Castle in Northumberland.
And they're a small...
Which is not close to London, by the way.
I wasn't...
That is Scotland.
Okay.
They picked up Jerry Butler. And
They did not make that very clear in the movie because you don't know how far away it is from London.
It's about as far as you can get from London and still be in England, which fits for the character, but they never explain that to us.
No. But anyways,
Quinn Abercrombie,
which is a very British name.
Yes.
And he has all these rules to keep everybody safe, and there's a bunch of children and everything there, and there's people trying to defy him. People are restless, and then who comes in but Matthew McConaughey and like his group of military people from America. And they're very American. He's got an American flag on his little vest.
Here's what's the most important thing. He's got tribal tattoos. Remember tribal tattoos?
Yes. Yeah. That's
some people still have them.
Very insensitive.
Because they're tattoos.
Yeah, I know. So he comes in with their tanks, and they've got a helicopter and everything, and they say that they're dragon slayers, and people are in awe of them and everything, and they end up fighting one dragon, and it goes fairly well, but 3 people die, and they're like celebrating, and McConaughey is like, oh, okay, you want to celebrate, huh? Well, 3 of my men die. It's just like, okay, all right. But basically, long story short, McConaughey's talking to Quinn. He's like, okay, have you ever seen a male dragon before? What we killed was a female. And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, we've hypothesized that there's only one male dragon, and he flies over, and whenever he flies over the eggs, he Yeah.
Does his job.
Does his job. And so
we are spared dragon jizz in this movie.
Yeah, thankfully.
A reign of something else.
Yeah, but there's only one...
that can't be the title.
Wow. So there's only
one... It could
one...
be the art for the show, though.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's only one male dragon, so they're going to go to London to kill him. And Quinn thinks he knows where he lives because he's pretty sure this is the dragon that he saw when he was a little kid. And so they... do that, and do we spoil the movie?
Yeah.
I don't. Spoilers. They kill the dragon, but McConaughey dies. Lots of people die. But they're gonna move on, and it's a new day, and there's no male dragons. So that doesn't mean that all the dragons are gone. It just means that there's not going to be new ones. So we're acting like all the dragons are gone, but that's not the case. Anyways.
It makes sense that a 102-minute movie would have one of your shortest recaps. So everything is set up there. Yeah. This movie could have been longer, but a lot of the planned... And being a nascent film fan, I remember reading about the production of this movie and looking forward to its release. A lot of it had to be scrapped because of the 2001 foot and mouth outbreak in the United Kingdom.
Oh, okay. With the cows.
Yeah, well, with anything with a hoof and a mouth.
Yeah, I remember hearing a lot
too.
About that.
I was in England then.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
So you probably couldn't eat beef while you were there. Yeah.
We did not eat any beef.
Yeah, that's smart.
But great British beef. And we were there for about 2 weeks, and we're Americans. So after about, almost a fortnight, we were like, I just want some meat. I just want to eat some beef.
Yeah.
So we went to a Burger King. We figured that's probably fine.
Probably fine.
So we went to a Burger King in Bath, England.
Oh my gosh.
The old world.
Historical Bath.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember, I didn't know that this movie, because it was being filmed or not being filmed when I was there. But I remember we drove through the countryside a lot because we went all over the place. And I remember at times seeing smoke. I remember even seeing fire on the horizon, fires from them burning the cattle. There's nothing you can do with them. You have to just burn them. So they were burning the cattle en masse to try to stave off this foot and mouth disease. Now, when I see this movie with all of its fire and smoke and English countryside,
that's what you think about.
Yeah, that's what I think about.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Could have used some dragons then.
Yeah, just barbecue. Yeah.
Why? So this is a Touchstone picture, which means that it's technically a Disney movie. That was their label that they used for movies that weren't
quite Disney.
Cartoon crabs and things like that.
Yeah.
It's a $60 million movie.
Wow.
It's the kind of movie that they just don't make anymore. It is a sci-fi premise.
Mm-hmm.
It is actually $60 million is not too bad for 2000, but it's it's mid-budget.
Yeah.
And it's directed by a TV guy.
Yep.
These movies do not exist anymore.
No.
So, listeners, congratulations.
Yeah.
You're going to hear about a movie, the type of which does not exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Blame Harry Potter movies and cartoon comic book movies.
Yeah, right.
Should they exist?
Greater question. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like the plot of this is super great. I feel like it could have been better. Like,
There's not much.
What is the
it's
point?
lean. It's lean. There's not much to it.
No, there's not much to it. But like, what are we trying to say? Are we trying to say go big or go home? Or are we trying to say, yeah.
The problem with Quinn's character, and they don't hit this very hard, and today, from like a 2022 storytelling perspective, I think it's good because you can pick it all up. But it's underwritten for 2002.
I think it's underwritten too.
Because what we're supposed to get is that, Quinn is clearly smart and resourceful, and he is shredded like a bag of cheese. Yeah. But he is afraid. He's hiding and keeping everybody in. Not just because it's the smart thing to do, because we can't fight these dragons. He wants to hide in his cave. They have a cave under the castle that they're preparing that they can hide in. And McConaughey represents the other end of that polemic, where he wants to take him on, head first, and he wants to just get his axe and get in there and fight the dragons. We got to take this world back. Yeah. And I think that obviously, we can understand that the truth lies somewhere in between.
I think so too.
And we don't, but it's only explored in terms of Christian Bale literally begging everybody to not fight the dragons. And then Matthew McConaughey going, I'm going to kill dragons, kill his dragons, I'm going to kill them all. Yeah. So two cartoon characters are fighting over this thing. Right. And in the end, they just go out and kill the dragon. And so you're like, I guess McConaughey was right. But then the movie has to make him not right. Because that is the physical repudiation of his extremist point, because he dies, even though this is a suicide mission that they're all ready to die for. Right. So why
does
I feel
he
like
have
the
to die?
movie is making a fool out of him for dying.
I feel like they do too.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's completely unnecessary. Would it be like he would be too restless to stay at the castle, and he wouldn't? What would he do? And he wouldn't like.
Oh, you're
listen
thinking
to
about
Quinn?
like post dragons?
Yeah.
I don't know if the movie's thinking about that.
I don't know if they are either, but I just don't know why kill him.
They don't. So this movie is a couple different things put together, and one of those things is Star Wars. Weirdly. Did you think? My brain is so tired from watching Blonde. I don't have any chance, but maybe you got a little bit of juice left. Are there any other parallels in this film to Star Wars other than the beginning of the movie, which is kind of cute? It's the future, and TV doesn't exist anymore because most of the humans are dead. Yeah. And so the group of children that they are keeping, that are the next generation, need to be entertained. And so Christian Bale and Jerry Butler act out Empire Strikes Back for the kids.
Yeah. It's cute.
Stealing, I think, from an episode of Quantum Leap. I'll have to check if it was directed by Rob Bowman or not, where Sam leaps into a Jimmy, and to entertain Jimmy's little brother or nephew, he ends up telling him the story of Star Wars.
Okay.
Because he's like, tell me a story. He's like, I don't know any stories. He's like, no, whatever you got. And he's like, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
And was it like pre-Star Wars coming out?
Yeah, well, Disney lawyer. Yeah, it's
world?
before Disney bought them. Otherwise, their time-traveling lawyers would have showed up with the evil Leaper and ruined that.
Right.
But nothing else is Star Wars in this, right? Quinn isn't really
not
a farm boy or anything, and no.
Well, they have a farm.
Van Zandt is sort of the Han Solo, I guess.
Yeah, kind of.
But anyway, the point is that ultimately he is wrong because he is gung-ho and rah-rah, and all it's got him is like almost everybody who follows him
has died.
Is dead.
Yeah.
And he also makes rash decisions that lead to sacrifice of his people because he's attempting something he can't accomplish. Mm-hmm. But then 3 of them just fly a helicopter to London and take care of it.
And they're fine.
So they should have done that first.
Yeah. Well, I guess
nothing really connects to anything else. Because normally you would have, because we live here, we have this. Then you interrupt that, and that makes it so we have to do something else. When we do something, that ends up meaning that this is now a problem. Mm-hmm. When we deal with that problem, it opens a window that will allow us to then go to London and solve something. But instead, the army goes to London and the dragon catches them and kills them all. Then the 3 of them get in a helicopter and fly to London and just show up on the south bank of the Thames and they're fine.
Right.
And there's a million dragons. But they all fly away and then there's just one dragon.
And then there's just one
because
dragon.
It's time for the movie to be over.
Exactly.
And that being said, that the last 15 minutes of the movie is the best part of the movie. Yeah. I wish the whole movie was that.
I wish it was
Clearly they couldn't find a way to make the whole movie that. Yeah. Because you've got this whole thing where like Bale is like Dragon Jesus or whatever. And like, I just never really buy it. It's tough to make a character who is essentially a coward likable, but I never... Van Zandt has a point.
He does have a point.
They shouldn't fight as hard as he wants, but they should be fighting. And then in the end, when all 3 of them are trying to hunt the dragon, suddenly it's like there's camaraderie and they're like, sure, they're paying off things that they planted like before, but like they're all kind of like, well, we have to go this way and do this. And Quinn is like one of his soldiers now and he's giving him orders. And before they clashed over like who's got the bigger dick, but yeah. He's ready to take those orders. Mm-hmm. And there's that great part where Van Zandt's been sipping from this flask the whole time. Yeah. And then he gives the flask to Quinn and Quinn's like, oh, this is just water? He's like... You're
going to need more of that.
He's just been drinking water this whole time?
Yeah, I like that.
Like, that's kind of weird.
It's good.
So all that stuff, like the sneaking around was great, but the rest of the movie is just Quinn saying, don't do it, and then they do it anyway and they all die.
I know.
And that's a movie.
And, well, yeah, and then they go in that huge caravan, the military, to London, and everybody except for Vance, for McConaughey and the chick in the helicopter dies. Yeah. Because the dragon just was like, oh, here's a huge line of people. I'll just torch this line right here. That was nice of you guys to line up.
It's a buffet.
Me. Yeah.
Sizzler.
Yeah. Yeah. So... And I don't know if, like, it sounded like they hadn't gone to London for a really long time. So maybe they didn't know what was in store for them. But
I think it was just time for them to die.
I know.
I don't think there's any good reason why they died.
But McConaughey comes back and is like, you were right.
The male doesn't exist. The male dragon doesn't exist until McConaughey mentions him. And then suddenly he's a factor. You know,
then he's like the
presumably, I guess he was the guy that spit in Quinn's face back in the day. But,
right.
Yeah. So anyway, thinly drawn characters. Jerry Butler exists literally to just get blown up and to motivate Quinn to do something else. Paper thin characters, kind of pale, a pale imitation of a better script. That being said, I don't hate it. Like
I don't hate it either.
It's a Sunday afternoon watch. It goes down really easy.
Yeah.
There's a girl in it, just so we know that Jerry and Christian Bale aren't getting it on. Right? They get to hold hands at the end.
She ends up with Christian Bale at the end. So
what happened to Isabella Scorupco?
I have no idea.
She was Natalia Simonova in GoldenEye.
Oh,
The James
okay.
Bond girl.
All right.
The one who wasn't killing people with her legs when having sex with them.
Oh my God.
And she was in a couple other things, but then she just kind of disappeared.
I don't know.
I
Maybe
think she's okay.
decided like she didn't want to do acting or something like that. I don't know.
No, she still acts.
Okay.
It's just not in anything that you'd know.
Oh.
That's the same as disappearing.
That is, I guess.
Just ask Marilyn Monroe.
my
I don't know if the
gosh.
point is it's a waste of time to try and help people, but it is a waste of time to try to merge Terminator and a dragon movie and Star Wars and Planet of the Apes.
Oh my gosh.
Or what did I say it was?
Did you say Planet of the Apes? I don't
Red
remember.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Because people keep, Van Zandt is basically Patrick Swayze, and everybody keeps, things happen to them, and he's just like, use it.
Right.
Let it turn.
Yeah,
Let
right.
it turn into something else.
Right.
Yeah.
He's very hard, and he's got like this little stump of a cigar that he keeps puffing on, and he just wears a vest too. He just has like this military vest.
Hey, this movie is all delts and tries.
It is
Greasy delts and tries.
It's like, what excuse do we have to get a guy's shirt off? And there you go. So that's a big part of this movie as well.
Non-speaking cameo by Jack Gleason, a.k.a. Joffrey Baratheon. Joffrey Baratheon, technically.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is like, look, he was a good-looking kid.
Yeah.
And he had a look about him, like an ethereal look about him.
Yes.
But why just give him like one hero shot and no lines?
I know.
Like he's in Batman Begins as well.
Mm-hmm.
Acting with his buddy Christian again.
I know.
At least he's got a couple lines, but a couple lines to the point of like, why is this character here? Do you know what I mean?
I know.
This character's here so he can throw him some binoculars.
Yep.
And he's like, I told you the Batman was real. And then later Katie Holmes saves him in the Narrows, right? When Scarecrow's guys attack.
Yeah,
It's been a
right.
long time since I saw that movie. But they're just like, this kid's hot.
Yeah, I know.
Was he like the kid of a producer or something like that? Why they keep shoving him into all these movies? Now, I think he's a perfectly good actor. I like one of my favorite parts of Game of Thrones was Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, like he's not really acting anymore. And I think that's a shame.
He's not, because he had to deal with a lot of people. Look,
know.
they couldn't divide the character from the actor.
Yeah, I know. And Emma Watson had to do distance learning or private school because of 50 points for Gryffindor. But it's like, boo-hoo, man. You're rich. You can afford the private tutor.
I guess.
Would you recommend this? I can't believe that's all that we have to say, but it's only about 100 minutes.
I mean, it's fine. Sure. Let's recommend it.
I think it's interesting
it's inoffensive.
And I don't want to put this on Rob Bowman, but I have a theory that I'm going to trot out in a couple minutes, and I think I can drag him into this. Maybe it's not his fault. But after they kill the dragon, they have a big party, and of course, they fire up the stereos and they play Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah,
and it's like, did you guys what if you spent 2 seconds
I
thinking
know,
about
right?
the music instead of 1 second?
Yeah.
Because there aren't any other like big tunes in the movie. It's
No,
not like,
there aren't.
That would be a nice character thing for Alexander Siddig, including being the radio operator. Maybe he's also the guy
music
that
guy.
spins the tunes for everybody.
Yeah, that would have been great.
They weren't paying for any music for this thing though.
No, he just has like a crazy sweater. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he had a real. Well, it was like not. It was like acid wash.
Yeah.
Sort of pattern.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was actually like acid wash.
No.
It's that weird kind of 90s.
Yeah, it's like
pattern.
We got this kooky guy, and he's got this,
a
because he's
sweater.
wearing a weird sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's got a lot of character. I think that if it had not had an interrupted production schedule, it could have been a lot better. And if they had taken it seriously, it would have been a lot better. But they would throw $60 million at half a script back then.
Mm-hmm.
And they
would
don't
you
do
recommend
that
it
anymore? Yeah, I already said so.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Don't pay money for it.
No.
I can't remember when we watched it. You can get it somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's just a fun, pair it with Dragon Slayer.
Sure.
Pair it with Dragonheart. I'm the last one. Do a double feature with something else. Do a double feature with the X-Files movie, maybe.
Oh wow. Okay.
Talk about that someday.
Yeah. I feel like we've talked about it at some point, but yeah.
Let me stand next to your fire.
Oh my gosh, I know.
It's a Netflix film.
It is.
It's rated NC-17.
Mm-hmm.
Is it for the adult nudity, the violence,
Mm-hmm.
the nihilism, the child drowning,
Oh my God.
or the child nudity? Maybe we'll find the answer to that as we
Yeah.
talk about this Marilyn Monroe movie.
I know.
After all that stuff I said, like, is it the decapitations
Yeah,
and the
right.
defenestration
Wow.
in the American nation? This Marilyn Monroe movie, Blonde.
Yeah. I think it's probably a lot to do with the adult nudity and...
I just said we'll answer it later.
okay.
We don't need to get into it right now.
All right.
We have to do all the important work
I know.
of talking about who made this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've talked about this. We've reported on it. We've talked about the development of this film. I would like to say that this is like going to be the grand finale of
Talking about it?
yeah, it's going to pay off all the time we've spent.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to really happen for a movie that is 44% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh my God.
And this doesn't mean anything. Here's what this means. It's 2.5 on Google, 2.5 out of 5 on like Google reviews or whatever. Those are all citizen reviews. So people didn't like this.
Uh-huh.
Now, there might be critics that are willing to go to bat for it. It's 49% on Metacritic. I think this is going to show up on, I have to watch this again. This is going to be on Craft Disservices, isn't it?
Do you think?
Yeah. Because I think there are critics that will definitely go to bat for this, and there are ones who are like, no, I don't think so. Not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Jane Crowther, and oh my God, I need to look up later if Jane Crowther is the granddaughter of Bosley Crowther. Oh, Crowther. It's spelled differently. Anyway, that'd be great if it was.
Okay.
Said it's uncomfortable viewing, but then also engaging, unbridled cinema that will prompt discourse and divide opinions. Well, you're right about part of that.
Yeah.
Whereas the New York Times' Manola Dargis says, if Dominic, the director, isn't interested in or capable of understanding that Monroe was indeed more than a victim of the predations of men, it's because, in this movie, he himself slipped into that wretched role.
I would agree with that, actually.
So we are divided on this baby here.
Mm-hmm.
It was directed by Andrew Dominic, who previously directed your favorite movie, The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
My favorite movie.
Boy, he loves working with Brad Pitt. That's a bad sign. Also, Killing Them Softly, which was a sort of like a crime drama with Brad Pitt. He got his sort of start with a movie called Chopper from way back in the day.
Okay.
That was sort of Eric Bana's, one of his first movies.
All right.
And it is also a like a crime, kind of an exploitation film.
Okay.
I don't really know what qualifies as exploitation, but it is an Australian film. Dominic himself is he's a Maori or not Maori, Kiwi / Australian guy.
Okay.
So yeah, this guy does. Let me tell you everything you need to know about this guy.
Yeah.
Nick Cave did the music for this film. Now you know everything you need to know about this guy.
Okay.
How many tattoos do you think this guy's got?
Probably a lot.
Yeah, this is an edgy guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Perfect guy.
Thinks
Perfect
he's
guy
edgy.
to make a
Anyways.
movie about Marilyn Monroe. If you can, tell us what happens in this movie.
I'd rather not.
Oh, okay.
So, dear Lord, we start with her as a child.
Oh, no. I don't think that we can talk about all the weird things that happen in this movie. I think you just need to like tell us. We know Marilyn Monroe's in it, but like why are we looking at this? Like how do we look at her?
Oh, this is based on a
There you go.
book by Joyce Carol Oates.
Yes.
About Marilyn Monroe's life. I've never read the book, so I don't know how closely this film cleaves to
Nobody
it.
has.
But
I don't think anybody has.
I'm just saying that as a caveat. But it starts at the very beginning, and we see her as a child, and her mother is kind of abusive towards her. But we also learned that her mother has mental health issues, and very early on, her mother is institutionalized and then Norma Jean, which is Marilyn's given name, her birth name, is put in an orphanage.
But she's not an orphan.
But she's not an orphan. And so this, definitely affects her. And we also see her kind of getting her start in Hollywood as like a pinup girl with some nude or partially nude photos.
She's the first Playboy centerfold.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And we also see her getting some breaks in Hollywood and some really horrible like casting couch experiences. Like one of the guys, the president of some company, just straight up like starts having sex with her, basically rapes her. But she starts getting breaks in films and it goes through her life. It deals a lot with going back and forth about who she really is and her identity. And she kind of has this, I wouldn't call it necessarily crisis, but like she struggles with her identity. Is she Norma Jean? Is she Marilyn Monroe? Is Marilyn Monroe just this role that she's playing? And we go back and forth through this throughout her entire life. The film also goes back and forth with it being a color and black and white. I wish that correlated to whether or not she was Norma Jean or Marilyn Monroe, but it doesn't seem to.
I'm going to charge you by the word.
God. It goes through her marriages to Joe DiMaggio and
ring, ring.
Are you charging me by the word?
No,
you're the baby.
Yeah, I'm saying that I mentioned that.
Oh, okay. She gets.
It's a character in the film.
Yeah, she gets pregnant at one point, and she ends up having.
I can't believe you yada yada'd her throuple.
She's in a throuple, and that actually seems to be in some ways the happiest that she is in a lot of ways. She seems very happy in that, and she gets pregnant from one of them, and she was going to have the baby, but then she decides to not have the baby because she's suddenly worried that her at this point that her mother's mental illness could be passed down to the baby. And so then she decides that she is going to get rid of the baby. And she's traumatized by that. She gets married to the baseball player Joe DiMaggio. That ends up not going well. They get divorced because he's kind of abusive towards her. Then she gets married to the playwright Arthur Miller. She gets pregnant again, and then she loses the baby. Like, kind of, they show it in the film. It's really dumb, in my opinion. I don't know if this is what actually happened, but she trips and falls, and she falls on her stomach, and she loses the baby. She has a miscarriage. And she's very traumatized.
No one
by
can
that.
get this lady pregnant.
I know.
Or they can, but they can't
stay pregnant. So she falls into a depression with that, and she starts drinking and taking pills. And she's freaking out on sets, and they're shooting her in the neck with drugs. Things are not going well. Her and Arthur Miller, I think, at some point get separated. She ends up kind of dating, not exactly dating, JFK. She gets escorted around like that, and just like she's dragged around. And then she finds out that one of the people she was in the throuple with died. He ended up choking on his... he threw up and he choked on his throw up, and that's how he died, because he was an alcoholic, I guess. And he gifted her something and she didn't want it. Well, it was like the stuffed tiger that like...
Wow, we just went to the end. We said we were going to go to the end. So.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I mean, like, this is the kind of granular scene-by-scene detail that we're not asking for.
Okay, and she also has this idealized version of like who her father is, and she's supposedly getting letters from somebody.
That's an important one.
She's getting letters from somebody who is supposedly her father saying he'll meet up with her soon. And also she does kill herself.
But that person doesn't exist.
Yeah, right.
Do you want to tell it right?
What?
At the end of the movie... Sorry, I tuned out a little bit because I was on Crowther Watch. So as far as Crowther Watch goes, they are spelled the same. Jane Crowther is the editor-in-chief of Total Film, which seems to be a completely worthless British film site. Is it British? I can't tell. They work for Games Radar. So this could be the scion of Bosley Crowther, and I really need to know the answer, but I don't need to know it right now. That's an update for Craft Disservices listeners. Yes. The only thing that keeps her going are these passive aggressive letters from her supposed father. Then she learns at the end that they were being written by Eddie G. Robinson's kid the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was never a father.
Yes.
And that and her little tiger are enough to make her take enough sleeping pills to go into a montage.
Yes.
And that's the end. But that's not the end, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I want to be plain. What a disaster. A complete disaster, top to bottom of a film. Yeah. Whereas if you watch something like Extro, that's thought of as a bad film. This is a bad film with, well, it was only $22 million. I was surprised to see. But I guess if you're economical about it, you can make it happen. It starts, I hesitate to say strong, but gives you the idea that it's going somewhere. Mm-hmm. And it ends up going not anywhere. And I would say right off the bat, why are we making movies about Marilyn Monroe in the 21st century? Mm-hmm. Does she really continue to be a tragic figure, a touchstone for women who want to have a glamorous idol, for people who, in a Princess Diana way, sort of latch on to the sort of sad tragicness of her life and the implication of her being, victimized by, by the people that she was looking to find validation from, both the audience and Hollywood itself. Yeah. Because there must be somebody else who we can be introduced to who can also foot that bill. Don't you think? How many times are we going to tell this story over and over and over again?
I think so, but I also feel like...
And why is this guy who does these testosterone-fueled, balls-out crime dramas, why is this his story?
It's not.
And if you're Joyce Carol Oates, who is still kicking and is out there defending the film right now, the most recent thing she said was, it's a great movie, but not for everybody. Which is about as bad as I think she's going to say, about this thing based on her book, which in 2000, when she published the book, even 2000 was a little late, wasn't it, for doing like Marilyn Monroe material?
I think that she continues to be this icon that we just can't get over.
Right, but for most people, she's just a lady painted in a bad mural on the wall of their movie theater.
You're absolutely
People
right.
aren't really engaging with her anymore, are they?
You're absolutely right. I agree with you.
They should be looking at Brittany Murphy, or they should be looking at Aaliyah, who I know died in a plane crash, but now that we know what we know about R. Kelly, it seems like things were a lot worse.
Yeah, right.
When that plane went down, there have to be new stories.
No, there definitely are new stories.
Her, and it's because why is a movie about a lady that was in movies and has remained like this? But I just think the point of films is to be original and engaging, and you think about the crap that they put out and the singing crawdads or whatever, just turning dumb books into movies, and how we value movies that are about something different and are
creative and new.
Innovative,
Yeah.
And that just some New Zealander guys, Australian guys, like, I'm gonna make a Marilyn Monroe movie. It's got tits in it. You want to see Marilyn's tits? That's the pitch.
I know,
and it totally worked.
Yeah,
I mean. This was greenlit when Netflix would say yes to anything. I think they are contracting like a lot of other rights holders at this point. But now they have to stand behind this. And the biggest victim, the Marilyn of this thing, in my opinion, for a lot of reasons, is Ana de Armas.
I agree.
Who is
110%
fantastic.
She is.
In this film, but in a very misguided way.
Yeah.
When you and I don't have another good example. If I had sat down and thought about it for 10 seconds, I would have come up with something. I can't think of something now. But like you think about somebody who is giving a great performance, but they are doing
in a horrible movie.
Yeah, but also in a horrible character. They are doing something or being asked to do something,
Right.
be it an accent or a prop or like a makeup thing, you know, and they just have to commit to it because that's what the film is. She is committed to playing this Marilyn Monroe, she's doing this and she's doing that. And it's like the reason that you dramatize something and you adapt it is so we can feel the emotions and we can connect to something without her doing a caricature the entire time.
Yeah.
The Joker.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Jared Leto's The Joker.
Oh,
now,
God. Jared Leto.
maybe there was really no depth to his Joker, but there was never going to be any depth because he is just a collection of tics. Heath Ledger comes dangerously close to being a collection of tics. I think there's a lot of scenes where he is just going, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, and he's got a lot of makeup on, but there is something there that we can connect with and we can go, I'm scared of this guy.
Yeah.
Whenever he comes on screen, I want him to leave the screen because
Yeah.
he's scary and he's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that she is good. It's like lighting. If you go to a stage show and you come away going, man, the lighting is really good. A lighting designer is going to hate hearing that because you're not supposed to see the lighting.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to notice the sound either, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And I notice how good she is. And I shouldn't. I feel like there's a really great actress who has to struggle to do a caricature of another pretty good actress.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't know how to relate to this character.
I know.
It's like she's doing an SNL sketch with blood and boobs, and I'm supposed to, feel bad about her abortion or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like I just can't connect to or feel anything about what's going on because this is Blonde, the NC-17 Netflix film.
Yes.
The production company's called Plan B, and that could have changed Marilyn Monroe's life.
Oh, my God.
Anytime that baby phone rings,
All right.
just
Oh, my gosh.
done.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry.
So
Every baby needs a daddy. Tell you that.
Yeah. The music choices in this were too on the nose.
This is it.
They're
Yes.
way too on the nose.
Yes. She's
More so than the previous movie we talked about.
This orphaned star who's going to try to make it in Hollywood and starts reaching out to all these father figures.
Yeah.
We're going to play the song "Every Baby Needs a Daddy."
Yeah.
I don't remember what song it was, but later on she has an abortion, and then they're singing like
So Long Baby or something like that.
Bye
Or
Bye
some-
Baby,
Bye
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 Bye.
Baby, yeah.
What is it about roided up men with tattoos that I know directors that use subtlety and they're all cowards,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like they just don't. Why does Zack Snyder think like, oh, this guy's going to finally, rail his girlfriend and we're going to play Hallelujah when it happens?
It's so gross.
Why are they
know.
like this?
I don't know.
Why are you like this?
I know. Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I'm thinking, and I don't know if maybe not the Joyce Carol Oates book. I'm kind of thinking not
Is she
that.
a good author?
I don't know.
She should not defend this because it makes her look bad.
I agree.
I presume
she
she's
thinks-
a good author. I've always heard that about her.
I think she feels like she has to defend it, otherwise
But
it makes her look bad too.
This movie has the depth of a kiddie pool,
It's very shallow.
and its structure it's not bad to have like a strong structure, but it's like a rigid and simplistic structure. Get it? She gets the letters of her supposed dad, and we know that
Right.
something's going on with that. Come on, what is this? Right?
Yeah, right.
And then every time she gets a letter, she meets another, paramour in her life who has got a kind of a daddy charm to them. She literally calls them daddy.
It's so
And then
gross.
obviously they have a problem with her career and the person with Marilyn Monroe. And in varying ways, they treat her like Marilyn Monroe when she wants to be treated like. Did you know that Norma Jean and Marilyn Monroe are two different people?
I know. It's
Covered
like,
that
oh my
already.
God.
There's a movie where Mia Sorvino plays Marilyn Monroe and Ashley Judd plays Norma Jean, and they're the same character in the same movie. We have covered that. And this movie adds nothing to that discourse other than bloody abortions.
I kind of feel like if we're going to tell another story about Marilyn Monroe, Like, let's have a female director, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, let's make it less vulgar. Because how are we?
Here's the deal.
How are we honoring
Well, that's
Marilyn,
true.
or how are we honoring Norma Jean?
Right, but like, what is the point of, what's the point of the 7-year itch scene where we get to see her underwear in the actual movie, The 7-Year Itch? We're talking about sex. This movie, I think, has the good intentions to peel back that layer and go, what are we talking about here? This is the 21st century. You watch a HBO show about something in the 50s, the old-timey days, and people aren't like, gosh darn, I sure like your gams. They're like saying the F word and they're like having sex for real, like people did back then.
Right.
And so I like the fact that it's willing to say, like, this is what we're talking about here. This isn't like Marilyn had it rough. Instead, it's Marilyn got bent over a couch by a producer.
I know.
And yes, you ride a line of, how vulgar should this be?
Mm-hmm.
My problem is not with the elements that got the movie an NC-17 rating, like her getting railed by two guys at the same time. My problem isn't with that. It's like the artistic vulgarity.
Mm-hmm.
They are employing these sordid elements to no end. They have nothing to say. There's nothing original being said.
I know.
And you're wasting performances by Ana de Armas. I don't even like Adrian Brody that much. And like his quick turn as Arthur Miller was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He was put in some really stupid situations
where
he's like, I don't like this girl. The lights go down, the lights come up. She's beautiful. She's so good. She's so good.
That was weird.
And then there's this running theme, and I don't look. I'm sure she was intelligent and well read, but like everybody's surprised at how they hit that beat so many times that she's read Dostoevsky, and even Arthur Miller's like, did you read the Cliff Notes? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And so she sort of like intuits.
How do you know Chekhov?
She intuits this thing about this character that he's written in the play, which is based on a real person, and it's something that like he didn't know or something that he hadn't revealed.
Yeah.
And so he goes from like, all right, Toots, let me know. And so he's like, oh my God, it's true. It's true. You're so yes.
You're so insightful.
You're so beautiful. You're so insightful. Right. We got to get married right away.
Yeah, right. It's like, it's a little much.
Yeah. Author.
Yeah.
Shoot the author.
Oh my God. I gotta say, and I think this might be a director thing, but I feel like the actress who played her mother.
Who? There's no resolution with her.
No, there isn't.
No.
And I didn't like that either. But I feel like the actress who played her mother like we talked about playing the subtext, like she just went from like 0 to 60.
I think she had nothing to work with.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think she had nothing to work with, so I'm not blaming her, but her performance.
The script said, you crazy, play it up.
I know, and I didn't like that.
But
and then also when they went to the mental institution, it wasn't super sensitive.
Completely insensitively portrayed.
Yeah.
I don't know the status of her mother because obviously Marilyn died young, so maybe her mother was still alive.
Yeah.
So
it's possible.
You have her in the beginning, you have her in the middle. 3s, right?
Go back to
wrap
her
it
at
up.
some point.
Yeah, and have like her see on TV or read a news article about how her daughter died, but she doesn't recognize. So it's super tragic, but this movie's fine with being tragic that her mother didn't even, acknowledge that her daughter had passed away because that Norma Jean is gone at this point. Only dead Marilyn remains. There. Call him Elton John. I got a song idea for him.
Right.
It's an Elton John song.
Oh my God.
We're making movies about this still.
I know. I also like there is like this one point like for like a movie she got out like this razor blade and she was gonna cut her throat.
Yeah, it's edgy.
And
they yell cut.
And then she thinks she sees her mom and she's like, do it or whatever. And he like yells at her or whatever. That never comes back.
Nope. It takes a bunch of pills, has a bunch of miscarriages and stress, and doesn't ever hallucinate anything else.
No.
Yeah.
So like if you're gonna have something like that, like in your some sort of thing, it should come back. Right? Otherwise, why do you have it there?
Yeah.
Either it comes back or you cut it.
Let's talk about the technical details. We've hammered the point home, I think, that this movie has nothing to say about, new to say about Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
what's going on in the entire movie.
It's
I have not.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I fell asleep during the assassination of Jesse James.
Yep.
And I watched the first 10 minutes of. I watched until Ben Mendelsohn got killed. I think he gets killed. I watched the first 10 minutes of killing him softly and was out. I'm like, I'm not watching this. This sucks.
Sure.
So I don't really know a lot about this guy's technique, but it's almost like he paid for all of the After Effects, so he's going to use them. Do you know what I mean? He, for no discernible reason, goes through every possible aspect ratio that you could.
Yeah.
He goes from Panavision down to like, Super 8 and does it, and goes from black and white to color with no real regard for what it's supposed to mean in a scene. The one time I thought it was kind of interesting was when they go, she's going through this whirlwind throuple, which I guess, I don't know if we know that it happened exactly like that.
I don't know.
We know that she did date Edward G. Robinson Jr. for a while. But I don't know if it was, they had like a Gemini, a tri-Gemini thing going on.
Right.
But they go to the beach and they're all laying on the beach. And so suddenly it becomes widescreen to fit all of them. And it's just sort of like, yeah, obviously they're laying down, so let's do wide. We can't do the Academy thing to get them all in. But it also kind of felt like they were sort of not trapped together, but sort of framed together in this group. I thought that was kind of nice. And then later they're looking at the stars and it sort of pans up away from them and sort of opens up more. And I thought that was kind of a nice move. It opens up to the stars, which then turn into spermatozoa because she's getting pregnant.
It's like, wow.
And I'm like, Gaspar Noé watched that and went, no.
I know.
Look, I've done all kinds of things with sperm.
Yeah.
But I would not do this.
Yeah, right.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah, it's too much.
It's just not, it's vulgar artistically.
It is. I agree with you.
I don't mean like sperm. I just mean like, that's a dumb idea.
It is
Have
a
a
dumb
better
idea.
idea.
Yeah.
It's like the first thing you thought of. I can't figure out why the sound is so bad in this.
It's terrible.
Now, it's terrible, but it's terrible would just be done poorly. This has to be a choice because it's so persistent.
Yeah,
Every single scene is full of this noise, this like ambient sound. If you're an editor or you do sound, like sensitive mics will just pick up sound. And usually in a film, you take that out. Then you put in what you want your sort of background sound to be. So they're at the park. So it's kids playing and the sound of a swing and they're having a conversation on a park bench. And maybe there's a little city hum. There's some cars going by or something like that. This just sounds like a microphone with the gain turned all the way up. Is it because the lead actress has to whisper all of her lines?
Right.
I don't know. And even in a situation like this, she's having dinner with Joe DiMaggio and that they're at the Brown Derby or something like that. And there are other diners. And so you figure, oh, this is a situation where you're going to have plates and forks, people hama talking. That is there. But it's almost drowned out by this
background
high amount
noise.
of like room tone, from just a recording of two actors doing the scene. It sounds like the scratch track. It sounds like they used the scratch track.
It buzzes. There's like a buzz
the scratch
to
track
it.
would be like, it's not, the actors are mic'd usually, or you're using some kind of like, boom or something that picks up just their audio. But then you also just have a recorder on set for timing purposes, right? So you can time everything up. And like, it sounds, but that's not in the right position to catch the best thing or to reduce background noise. It sounds like they just used that. Did somebody like mess up all the sound and they just used that instead?
I don't know.
It's such
a really good question.
Yeah, it's a completely ineffable choice. Here's another ineffable choice.
Yeah.
Vagina cam.
Yeah.
Who knew they would get
know.
not one, but once, and then once you do two, this movie has a lot of twos that don't go to threes.
Yeah, they have twos that don't go to threes, and then sometimes they have a one that doesn't go to a two. So yeah.
So I don't know why, if you're gonna have two cervix shots, just go for the third one.
I guess.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that was weird. That was something I was not expecting to see.
If Jane Campion had a speculum-assisted shot in her film.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to describe it. I'm going to let people just imagine what we're talking about.
Yep.
Would you think it was genius? Or would you think like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
I think I would think, what are we doing? Because, like, why do we need to show this?
I don't know. I think Andrew Dominic is, I think that he is scared of China. Which is like, it's weird to make a movie about a lady who's trying to have a baby.
Entirely possible.
Ring, ring. It's your baby.
Ring, ring. It's your baby.
Yeah. That was weird.
Everybody knows you keep babies in drawers.
Okay, so that was like an interesting,
it was.
In the opening scene when I was like, oh, maybe this movie's going to be good. That was like an interesting kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But then she puts the phone in the drawer and I'm like, okay, movie. Now, I don't know if you're smart enough to know that you put something in a drawer. You mentioned a drawer before. So if you show a drawer again, what are you trying to say?
Right.
And then immediately the phone and the baby both start ringing simultaneously. I'm like, oh my God, movie, you did it.
Yeah.
But you did it in a way where I'm just a dumb witness to this travesty that had that thought.
Yes.
Do you think the movie would have a deeper thought about what they're doing? Instead, it's almost like the movie was watching itself and went, oh, the baby should probably ring too. There's a baby in the drawer.
I know. Maybe we should.
He goes through different camera. He did the checklist of camera techniques.
Yes.
So there is cameras mounted on actors. Like this is a Guy Ritchie film, circa 2001.
Right.
He does a stabilization in one shot when she's rushing down the hall to go to JFK's hotel room or whatever.
Yeah.
He's got a shot where only her face is stabilized. And so it's like when they, stabilize the Starship Enterprise and the bridge is shaking around the actors.
Yeah. They've got fisheye lens.
They do fisheye lenses. Yeah. Everybody's yelling Marilyn and they do like TikTok Instagram effects on their mouths.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like throwing darts at a dartboard. But the darts are going out the window.
But I don't understand the artistic reasoning as to why they're making these choices.
No,
and I don't understand. He made the choice to go from black and white to color and back and forth, but it doesn't necessarily make sense to me as to why and when he does that.
Yeah.
And like, it would make sense if, like, just pick one. Like maybe we're in color when she's Norma Jean and we're in black and white when we're Marilyn Monroe or something like that. That would make sense.
I guess.
It'd be simple, but it would make sense.
That sounds boring and tedious.
But I don't understand.
This movie's boring and tedious.
Yes.
And I think it was in an effort to not be boring and tedious. It's like when John Travolta at the beginning of Operation Swordfish, now just called Swordfish for some reason, rebranding, says... think about Hollywood movies. They're crap. You ever see Dog Day Afternoon? It's like, don't compare yourself to Dog Day Afternoon.
This is a bad start.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think that they did the same thing, which is like, if you're going to challenge stuff, you better have something to challenge it with and not just playing with the focus settings on your camera and your After Effects folder.
Well, you better not just be going...
She barfs twice, but not 3 times.
No, she barfs 3 times because she barfs.
What's the third barf?
She barfs twice in the
But that's an instance of barf. Got our title.
Weird.
Got our title.
Okay, fine.
That's an instance of barf.
Fine.
That's a scene where she barfs.
Fine.
Yeah.
I would count it as 3, but you would count it as 2.
I'm not talking about individual barfs.
Okay. Whatever, man. But like, why just toggle back and forth between color and black and white? I think that's a dumb convention.
You've said that many times.
It bothers me.
Say something good about the film.
Anna de Armas is great.
That's it. We already said that.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't really...
Think how good she would be if she didn't have to have that dumb Marilyn Monroe voice.
Yeah, she'd be
If we
fantastic.
just accepted, this is a Marilyn Monroe
character.
Do you think Marilyn Monroe impersonators, and there must be some, there was an episode of Quantum Leap where he leaped into Marilyn Monroe's driver, which I've talked about before.
Yeah.
And Marilyn Monroe in that episode is played by an actress with very few credits. She is just a professional. I mean, obviously she's also an actress, but she is just, plays Marilyn Monroe in History Channel documentaries and things like that, reenactments.
Sure.
And so she got like this TV role.
Sure.
And then she's still playing her. I think she's still around. She played her like 20 years later. She played her in something else.
Wow.
So there must be people like her around still.
Yeah, I'm sure.
What do you think when they watch this? What do they think? Are they like, I don't know, Marilyn Monroe's Spanish?
No,
Or
I
whatever.
don't think that that's what they're thinking.
No, I don't think so either. People made a huge deal about
They
that. And
did.
you don't. You don't
It's-
notice it. I
it's
just notice
stupid.
what a weird caricature of a character she is, rather than her being the accent not being perfect.
Well, if this is supposed to be a realistic, balls to the wall, this is the real story of Marilyn Monroe, I definitely did not feel that. And you have failed if that was your mission.
Well, you're supposed to say something good, but you said
Well,
Ana de Armas. I would
sorry.
say that this movie has it's got great extra casting.
Yeah.
There is a great collection of period faces in this film.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
You look at, Ana de Armas is not a good period face.
Mm-hmm.
There are times when she kind of looks like a pinup girl from the 40s, but you know how it is. People just looked different back then.
Yeah.
We had a different thing that we looked for attractive people. And I think there are very few stars of the past who look like if you'd put them in Vogue today, they would be somebody, you know? Just like today, there are certain faces that, you know, seem classic in a way.
Yeah.
Just to keep objectifying women.
Right.
Jessica Chastain has a face that looks like she could be, you know, in a movie opposite Clark Gable or Jane Russell or something like that.
Right.
And their background extras look great, except for the two dudes in the polycule. They look like, you know, I kept thinking of them as like, oh, it's Abercrombie and Fitch.
They look like 90s guys with their flippy hair.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
But the 90s were calling back to the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
But in the crowd scenes, there were a lot of guys with like piggy noses and low brows and kind of like weird chins. And it was like, oh, this is great extras casting.
Okay.
And Garrett Dillahunt is in this, and he's uncredited.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Great character actor and great period face, Garrett Dillahunt.
All right. Yeah.
I have to say
great
it.
Period face.
And he's uncredited. And all he says is, what an ass. She's got quite an ass.
Oh, yeah. Look at the ass on that one. Yeah.
In
great.
that scene, here's an interesting single scene. I don't know where you put it. I don't know what you do with it. Marilyn Monroe. And again, I don't really know her life. I don't know how accurate the historical things are. And I don't really know a lot of the plots of her early films. But apparently she reads for a role where an abusive mother is like yelling at her kid and putting it in a drawer or something like that.
Yeah.
And is like, has a disassociative identity sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
And so she's reading that and she's giving like the performance of a lifetime, but it's really more than we're looking for in this like 1949 picture
Audition.
B movie
Yeah.
for the great ass guy.
Yeah.
And so she's like coming apart and then they're like, oh, it was good. And she's like, can I do it again? And they're like, it was fine. She's like, please just let me do it again. I need to do it again. Like, okay. If that was like the trailer, let's say, you're like, oh, what do you got? What's this going to be like?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I have to ask, would you recommend this?
No, I would not recommend this. I know we have talked about this for a long time and we were kind of looking forward to it in a weird sort of way, but I did not enjoy this. And
It's
I
not
would not.
fun.
No, it is not.
I would not
Like,
recommend
there's-
it either.
It's
But you'll keep talking though.
Speaking of what is the opposite of that scene that you just talked about is there's the scene where Arthur Miller first sees her in person and she supposedly reads the scene.
It's the sucker punch thing.
Yeah. And
Sucker
they
Punch.
clap
Zack Snyder's
for her
Sucker
and
Punch
we don't hear
has a character
the scene at all.
who, you know, is a dancer in a club, and apparently her dance is so amazing that it mystifies people. And I don't even know how
I
you would
hate this
communicate that
stunt.
on screen, but they didn't know how to communicate that on screen.
No.
And so therefore she begins to dance, and then we go into anime world, and when they come back, everybody's got their hands down their pants like it was this amazing dance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you must have shot a dance, because you would cut to it, right?
Yes.
While they're fighting zombies in World War I, you
Yeah.
could cut back to her pumping and thrusting or whatever her dance is.
Right.
But the truth is, they just didn't they don't know anything about dance.
No.
No. And Andrew Dominic doesn't know anything about women or Marilyn Monroe.
Or acting?
Yeah.
Question
or acting.
mark?
So he shouldn't have bothered to make this film.
Yeah.
Or put a scene in it where check out how good she is. Yada, yada, yada. Whoa, she was so great.
I know.
When meanwhile, he misses the great performance that his actress is putting on.
Yeah,
this entire time.
exactly.
And we didn't even talk about how she's an actress that's being exploited, blah, 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 blah. I think that's, like the movie, very self-evident. I wouldn't recommend this because it's not fun. There are parts of it where you laugh out loud, even though they don't want you to, and that is part of a good, bad movie, a midnight movie, if you will. The final scene when she goes to heaven.
Oh my gosh.
That almost saved the entire film for me. And the movie immediately turns around and ruins it by doing another dumb thing that's supposed to be cool and edgy. So I'm afraid that I cannot recommend this film, sadly.
Yeah. It's not a good movie.
No. If you want to see a film about a woman losing touch with her own identity and her personality bifurcating because of her work in film, watch Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon.
I agree.
There's
That's
even
an
one
excellent film.
There's even one, well, let's not go crazy. It's a very good film.
It's a very good film.
There's even one scene that I think is just stolen from it when she is bringing Marilyn out. They're going to summon Marilyn, and she's literally praying to Marilyn to come out. Something that she does throughout the rest of the movie she doesn't do. It's just they thought of it for this one scene. What if they'd worked on that?
Right.
And then she does finally come out. And she sees in the mirror, and we see the difference. We know the difference now between Norma Jean and Marilyn.
Right.
And Marilyn does her little Marilyn thing that we've all seen.
Yeah.
And the lady looking in the mirror is not doing that. They're completely separate at this point. She's acting independently. The only good idea this movie had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than casting Adrian Brody as Arthur Miller.
Yes.
Adrian Brody, let's see. How many Jewish people has he played?
He's played a fair amount.
I think he's played 2, right? I don't know. Was the guy in the jacket Jewish? Let me out of this jacket.
I don't know. What was the
pianist?
The pianist. Yeah.
Was the guy in Predators Jewish?
Probably not.
I gotta get off of this planet.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
My girlfriend's Jewish, so I can say that.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. Sorry it wasn't better, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's from a different show that we recorded earlier. That joke's not going to make any sense to you. But that's okay, because there's always things coming out in the future. And I'm kind of turning the corner on Adrian Brody a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
When he kissed Halle Berry without her consent, it's like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, what are you doing? That's not okay.
Yeah, I think the guy's, hopefully he keeps his nose clean.
Yeah.
I know it's a big job.
Oh.
It's fun. The guy's got an Oscar. Come on.
I know.
We talk about movies and TV shows, comic books, all kinds of nerdy stuff on this show. We do it all the time. We do it every week. And you can continue to follow our adventures in doing that on our social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, if you search for Just Enough Trope. And now we have to add Twitch to that, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Twitch.tv. If you search for our handle, I don't think that it works like that.
Oh, really?
So if you want to check us out on Twitch, you do have to just type in twitch.tv, like com, TV instead of com, / one word, Just Enough Trope. It takes you right to our channel.
Okay.
And so we've got that. We don't have enough cachet yet to keep videos. Our videos only last for a week. Okay. So if you want to watch our Star Trek videos, if you want to see some of our video game adventures or some of the on-camera live action things that we're going to be doing, they'll only be around for a week. So if you get a notification that we were live, check in on that soon. It spoils like milk. Later on, we'll be able to save clips and things like that. So check all of those things out. If you're listening to this and you're not a subscriber to the show, I have no idea why that would be the case. Yeah. I'm sorry somebody forced you to listen to us talk about these questionable films. But if you like us talking about questionable films, you can hear more of that by subscribing to us on your listening platform of choice. And, give us a rating and a review because, gosh, that really does help us out.
It does.
And give us 5 donations to Planned Parenthood.
There you go.
Who apparently are upset over this film's portrayal of abortion.
Gee, why would they be upset about that?
They would be upset about that, although
Yeah.
I think historically in context, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of. But it is a pretty brutal sort of thing.
Yeah.
Especially, speaking of coming in threes.
Yeah, I know.
The CIA-backed invasion of Marilyn Monroe's uterus at the end
Yeah.
is especially like, all right, movie, I think you've fully lost me now. I'm going to call my mom and have her come pick me up. We don't want that. Give us 5 stars. Instead, we'll be back in the future to talk about something else. And until then, we're signing off. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.
25 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination.